Welcome back, everybody. This is Night Flight, and today I have the privilege to talk to Sonia Barrett again. And yeah, I'm happy that that is happening before the lights go out here. So yeah, there is a real possibility that we will experience a total blackout in Germany this fall, winter. Well, we will see how that goes. And welcome back, Sonia.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. Do you have a generator? You got to get a couple of generators.
No, I do not have generators, but I can survive without
Right. I
electricity.
got it.
So
Yep. Yeah.
I can heat
You'll be
them.
fine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
you'll
will
be
be fine.
fine.
But with the generators, yes, you could. I'm not saying it's nonsense. But of course, let's say it's 2 to 4 weeks, even a generator after a
Right.
while gives up. And if you
Right.
do not have the supplies, yeah,
Yeah. I understand. There's a domino effect here.
yeah.
And yeah, but you know what? We do. People will survive. We survive just like they did before electricity. Before all of those things. And it definitely is going to force people to be more what should I say, really tackle their genius, or really get into their genius or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And another thing, you you just told me off camera that you are doing neurofeedback now, that you are a practitioner. I find that very, very interesting. Can you say a few words about that?
Oh, all right. So I'm a high performance neurofeedback practitioner. Now, neurofeedback's been around for a while. I would say probably more so, I think maybe the early 70s per se. But I mean, and it's sort of it's in the family of biofeedback. The difference here is we're talking about neurofeedback, so we're focused on the brain. And basically it's an opportunity to reboot the brain like you reboot a computer. And then there are different parts of the brain, as you know, that represent many different functions. So this kind of rebooting process, it works for depression, for PTSD, for stress, for if you're an executive and you need to function at a more optimum level, it will do that. If it's academics, if you've had a stroke, I mean, you name it, because it's brain related. So I really fell in love with this technology, and because I experienced it myself a while back and decided to become a practitioner and purchase this very pricey machine. So I've seen amazing things happen with clients. Amazing things happen with clients. And basically what it is you're placing what they call leads, these little things at different parts of the head, the brain. And in this case, this high performance neurofeedback, because there's a couple that's a little bit different, where you have to watch a movie or you have to be focused on looking at something, or playing a game. And we don't have to. With high performance neurofeedback, which is by Neurogen, you don't have to do that. So you can be talking, and we're still looking at an EEG screen to see your brainwave and amplitude, and just kind of see what's going on. And so I place a grounder lead here, and one on each mastoid gland, and then the other two I move around to the different parts of the brain, depending on what we're working on, to really help with rebalancing. And just to tell you real quickly, I had a father contact me couple of weeks ago, and his daughter, he wanted to find out if this would help because of her mood. She's 14, her mood, and so many different things. So she came in, and really, really great girl, and I worked on her. And then I saw the father a few days after, because now the wife wanted to come. And what they told me, they go, by the way, this is the first time we have not seen her in such a good mood. They're like, she was in a good mood and she went to bed. She never complained about it. She was in a good mood. They said it was such a major difference in her in this rebooting. So our brains get stuck in these patterns, in this loop. So, if you're not in a good mood and you're always not in a good mood, and then you're always not in a good mood. And it just keeps going, and then that's the rule. That's the rule that exists now. Is like, this is our normal, and we're just going to stay there. So it interrupts these patterns, and also recreate new pathways as well, and retrains the brain as well, into new behaviors. And one last thing, the brain actually gets to see an image, gets to see itself. So the areas that need to be repaired, it sees that, and through this feedback loop, the brain then goes to work with resetting. And these are tiny electrical pulses, pico watts, that are being generated through these little leads that you don't feel, and that are placed on the scalp or on the skin, and you don't feel it, but boom, that's how it's happening. So I think I kind of covered that part really quickly.
Yeah, okay. So how does that work, that the brain sees itself?
Well, the feedback, the idea that it's a neurofeedback, it's this feedback loop that happens. So in the feedback, somehow the brain, because it's all electrical. So the language, the language of the brain, obviously the feedback would be electrical. So it gets to see, maybe not with eyes like ours, but it gets to recognize that, oh, this is what's happening. This is what I look like. And then the brain knows how it's supposed to function. So then it recognizes that it's not functioning optimally. And then that's when it recognizes that, and then
Okay,
things
now I get
adjust
it.
it. Yeah. So that's what happens, because the brain wants to operate optimally. It always wants to operate at its highest capacity. The challenge that we have is that because we are creatures that adapt, we normalize and we compensate. So a lot of times when things are off, you're not going to notice, because you've been operating that way for a while. We operate in a way that is compensating, and it doesn't mean that we're functioning at full capacity, but we've just learned how to function that way until something changes. Then you're thinking, whoa, I had no idea that I was so out of balance or that off. And that's the thing that happens with us, like all day long. That's how we are as human beings. We are not operating most of the time at a more optimum capacity. But that's how we're able to continue to be on the planet. We adapt. We survive. We are survivors, and the body is designed that way, where it goes into responding in a way that it needs to. People lose their eyesight, then their hearing sharpens. Different senses compensate for the one that is missing. And for some people, they're able to see like in infrared. And so they're still able to see. So there's a lot, and it's all brain related. There's a lot of things that the brain is able to do to switch over, because its job is to make sure that the whole body's job is to keep the organism going, so that whoever is in the body, the being that's in the body, can continue to have this experience. So it's designed to survive. It's self-contained. Let's put it that way. It's self-contained. Lots of buttons and stuff that we don't understand how to press, how to push, how to work. It's a technology that is extremely beyond the word advancement. We're just learning gradually how to unlock certain parts of it. But I think there's so much that we have no idea about. And I'm always curious about that. How can I unlock more of
Yeah.
the potentialities here?
Mm.
Yeah.
But what you just mentioned, we have been operating like that for such a long time, and then you do not notice any longer what's going on with yourself.
Right, right, because it's
N-
normal. Mhm.
Yeah, and that reminded me of so-called functional alcoholics.
Oh yeah,
They
yeah.
have high achieving jobs, they function, they for a long, long time. Even
Mm-hmm.
their surroundings, they do not notice it. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, they can tell themselves sweet little lies about their
Oh
own.
yeah.
Mm.
Absolutely, absolutely. And and it's like that with we'd be surprised as to what our addictions are. I think there are addictions that we have that we don't even realize it.
Mm.
Because they're normalized, they're part of our
Mm.
lives. And so we learn to behave in these certain ways. But yes, there's functional alcoholism you would never guess because they can go and drink, at their desk and spray and be functional. Well, you and I, we're not drinkers like that. Everybody's gonna know if I drink because I don't drink, everybody's gonna know something's off. They're gonna know right away there's a problem. Houston, we have a problem. So
Yeah. So that brings me to your wonderful article that is about that we are happening to life. Usually we
oh,
experience it in a different way, that life is happening to us. But of course, yeah, I get it. It can feel that way. But that, of course, means that we are always, lagging behind. It happens and we react to it. It appears as if we have no say in it. You know what I mean?
yeah. That's how people feel. They feel like they're just in this, and they're just being tossed. Like you're in the ocean and the waves are just tossing you and you have there's nothing to grab, can't grab water. And you're just being tossed around. And that's, that I get it. That's how you feel till you realize, wait a second, these actions and these certain things have initiated this wave, have triggered this wave. And if I'm able to, in some situations there's a level of standing still, because I always say that stand still and let and let the storm pass you by. So I think it's a matter of really coming into a realization about your life, a truthful observation. And I always have to preface that by saying, when I say a truthful observation, I think people tend to want to feel guilty. It's like it's our nature. You want to feel guilty. You want to feel bad about your actions. You want to feel shame. And that's never what I'm talking about. I'm always just saying, can you just observe and take an honest assessment so that you can stop this tide, this ripple that keeps happening? Because then you see what keeps initiating this wave. All right. But if you won't look, then it's just life is just tossing me to and fro. Well, then that's what's going to keep happening. But you have to stop and you have to go, okay, this is what happened. This was the beginning of the string here, and this is what's going on. So I think that is super important, and the article was certainly really trying to convey much of that to people. And we're very sort of programmed to want to put that off on something or someone else. um and that's where we have to, if we want to take back our power or own it. Taking back your power, I always wish there was another way to say that, because even in saying taking back my power, did you ever really lose your power? Because you're using your power to give the impression that you've given your power away. even then even then you're always in charge. So yeah, so it's a matter of just really seeing that. What am I doing? And that's, I say that to myself, what are you doing right now, Sonia? What exactly are you doing? And then I'll step back and then I'll look and then I'll see. But life is you're happening to life because you are the fabric. You know, we make these contradictory statements, especially in the awareness movement, that, you know, you are everything and you're the source, and we say all of these things, and then we go into this whole other space where it's something else. Well, then if you're everything, then you're the one, you're happening. You are the happening. You are the great mystery. You are the happening. And everything is responding to you. Everything has to take its cue from us and abide by whatever it is that we say. You just got to look at, what are you saying? That's the question. What am I saying? If everything has to obey me, technically, if I use that word, then what are the rules and the terms and conditions that I keep putting out for my life? To me, that just was like a great opening to see that. Like, wow, what are my terms and conditions for this thing, that thing, that? What am I doing? And then shut it down, then go, oh, okay. Yeah.
Would you say that it is important on a personal level to start there first, to get that checked out? Because, you know, right now, a lot of people are dreaming for, yeah, let's say a revolution or whatever, that the entire system will collapse and a new one will be built. And I'm okay with that. I'm not very happy with the current system as well.
Right.
So, but sometimes I ask myself, is it wise if people who, you know, haven't got a grip on their own life try to establish a new system for everybody? You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, that's always been a thought. That's been said forever. There's a new system, you know, so a new system is going to be emerged, or the old one's going to collapse. And what I find fascinating is that there's gradualism, right? So there's this gradualism with change. So the old system continues to be the new system. The old system will just keep adjusting itself. Yes, but it looks like the old system, but it keeps adjusting. But what is really brilliant and crazy about this system is how it gets society to bend and to change and to be reshaped gradually. That's called gradualism. Gradually. So you don't notice, you think you notice a lot, but you don't notice you're being reshaped to adjust to whatever that system is. And it just keeps going like that, on and on and on. So it depends on what somebody's looking for as a new system. And I think a person has to step back and look at that. In the meantime, what are you doing? Because you can't sit around waiting for this idea of this new system. You have to figure out, what are you doing for yourself? That's fine. Okay, well, maybe something will change and it'll be an obvious, sudden, obvious change. But it's still going to be contingent on you, on the individual, recreating your own system of operation and function. How do I plan to do this? What am I wanting to do with myself and my life and my family, and, you know, implementing things for yourself? That will begin to be the thing that leads you more into the desired outcome, as opposed to waiting for something else to get going, because we are the ones that are really initiating the relationship, or determining the relationship that we're going to have with the matrix or the external world. It's based on us. So when we shift in these different ways, we might find that we're suddenly introduced to people that are more in alignment, maybe with where we're going, what we're thinking, or good example, or even with help, you're in a different mode of help, so suddenly somebody comes along and introduces something to you that's going to help you. But the bottom line of it is, if you don't have that opening, then those people don't show up. But every new level of awareness and opening and readiness for opportunity will keep introducing people and conditions that will support the change that you want to make in your life. So it's not about just waiting on the system, because the system can be what it is, but it doesn't mean that it has to affect you in the way that it might affect somebody else who doesn't have the same kind of understanding that you have. So it's very interesting how all of it is dependent on the growth of the individual, where that individual's mind space is an awareness.
Yeah. And yeah, sometimes people have this attitude that I don't know exactly where that is coming from, but it certainly has to do with the concept of the nanny state. And the other day I read a comment, and it was about, the gentleman explained why it is that it is very likely we are going into a blackout. So,
Right.
and that was the topic of the conversation. And in that conversation, they did not go into detailed instructions of how to prepare yourself for that. And guess what? One of the comment was, yeah, the most important thing was missing, a recipe for how to prepare for that, and blah, 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 blah. So there is this attitude that, okay, everybody has to explain it to me, in little increments.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Step one,
feed it
step
to
two, step
me.
three. Yeah. 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 And this
Yeah.
is how we got here in the first place, because of
Mm,
that.
mm.
That kind of dependency. Well, yeah, but I want a step one, step two, a step three. I want to do very little thinking. um I want you to give it to me, and and that's true. And that's why I said in the beginning that this is an opportunity to be innovative, to wake up your genius in trying to figure out and determine how you will function in this, not from fear, not at all from a state of fear, but going, okay, this is where I am right now, this is where we're at right now. Okay, so how am I going to operate around this, as opposed to, oh my god, which does nothing more than blocks you from really being able to see solutions.
Yeah, exactly. So you also talk about cosmic amnesia in that article. So please enlighten us.
Oh
What is
wow.
cosmic amnesia?
I talk about I'm like, what did I write again? Cosmic amnesia. What was I talking about then? Cosmic amnesia. I might have been just talking about, I have to look at the article to see what I was referring to, but cosmic amnesia probably would have been about our beginnings, our journey. It could have been that. But
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
wanted,
That is what you talked about. Yeah.
yeah, I'm actually I'm actually logging into my site just because I want to see um more about what the context was. But yeah, but that would basically be it. And it's true. We operate in this cosmic amnesia state, and which completely removes us from in being able to be more hands-on, aware, in tune, really connected, because we're so very matter based. We're very what do you call it, physically based, and so everything is about what we can see and what we can touch, and that really does take us away from the bigger picture of where we are. And in cosmic amnesia, yes, we could have traveled as a species from other parts, maybe not this galaxy, maybe other parts that we cannot even understand or entertain or imagine. So I think when maybe I was referencing the a much bigger picture of the idea of the cosmos, our place in it, and the memory that we really do hold, because we do have access to everything. We have access to all data. Our brains have access to everything, but again, it filters according to the individual. So the brain has access to all realms and all potentiality, quite honestly, but it filters according to where the individual, the owner of that technology, where that individual is in their awareness and in their ability to expand. You know, what's the latitude of their just ability to see that there are these other possibilities. And so it filters. It can't overwhelm us. It has to take its cue. It's taking its cue from the mind, obviously the thoughts, but then if the mind is always in this box and the state of limitation, the state of boundaries, right, in terms of expansiveness, then the brain is going to take that information and it says, okay, this is where we're at. Don't step outside of that. Don't show me anything more. But as we stretch our minds, and some of us can prove that, you know, as we open up, we find that we are seeing more. We are being introduced to people that we probably would know nothing about in our smaller state of being. But as we get bigger in our state of being and awareness, opportunities show up. And so when this blackout and things like this happen, you know, those who are in a different state of awareness, you may very well be introduced to so many other things, technologies, you know, just different things. So that is also part of this bigger cosmic picture.
Mm-hmm. So in other words, yeah, I guess many people think that their entire journey started with this life.
Yeah,
And
they do.
and I think that is not the case. It started far, far earlier.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess, okay, so I see this part here. It says, oh, okay, function in a state of cosmic amnesia, which is reinforced by fear and feelings of vulnerability in this life. Yes. Okay, the state of amnesia causes a hunger and desperation to be saved by someone or something. We want to be spared from our worry, anguish, uncertainties, headache, vulnerabilities, and the mortal state of our bodies. Absolutely. And that state of wanting to be saved by someone goes back to the comment that you made when somebody says, but they didn't tell us how to,
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
how to do it. It's that same thing. But the system that we have, the governmental systems and the educational systems and our corporate systems, completely reinforce that idea that you are not responsible for yourself. We tell you what is best for you because you are not capable of really being in charge of yourself. There, to a certain limit, yeah, we let you be in charge of some things, but outside of that, we know what's best for you. And so we human beings have the savior program, especially
Mm-hmm.
in there's certain parts of the world more than others, but the savior program. And then we have the religious program, which all the religions have a savior attached to it. So humans are a bit wired for being saved. And that can be
Even the
subject.
political savior.
Right. Oh yeah, on the political stage, absolutely. We're looking for the politician that's going to save us. And then we're, you know, and that's what they're competing for, is to who can tell you the best story about how they're going to save you,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah, and so and the competition is so ridiculous and so insulting. When you see the commercials when they're bad mouthing each other, I'm like, this isn't even like junior high. This isn't even kindergarten. This is like really ridiculous. How does anybody even buy this stuff? But anyway, it's a whole other story because I'm suspicious of anyone who decides to run for office anyway. I'm suspicious of everyone. If you want to run for office, I'm very suspicious because why would you want that job?
Yeah. Yeah. Usually, the better leader were people, would be people that are not so interested in power.
Yeah, but generally it's that I'm promising you, and and it's like, and people still buy it. Why? Because they want someone to save them. We want you to come and save us because we can't do it ourselves. We don't want to, and it's way too much work. Yet the power, the true power, is in the people. This
Yeah.
is this is what's so fascinating. The
Yeah.
people hold the power, but you just have to be a good Geppetto to pull the strings, the mental strings of people, for them to adhere to whatever narrative these people are spinning. You get two people. I always like that. You get two people running everything, running 5 billion people, because that's really like the ratio in terms of politicians. It's like a tiny, it's like they represent maybe one person, and then you got all these people, but this tiny group of people are so skilled at getting people to think a certain way and behave a certain way. You have to admire it in a way. It's just absolutely brilliant, and it just goes on and on and on and on like that. So yeah, so I think that's one of the first things, Judith, is for people to really recognize on a personal level their savior program. Am I running a savior program? And really just tell the truth about it. You don't have to feel bad or guilty or even tell anybody else. It's just waking up and going,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
I've been doing that. Well, how has running that savior program affected my life in terms of my relationships, the people that I tend to get involved with, my marriage, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my friends? How has this been working really throughout the whole stream of my life? Because it's not going to be in one area only. That stuff, we have a formula that we are operating by, and it runs through everything. So it's stopping and recognizing that and seeing where we can make those changes and where our fears are, because that's what gets attacked. Our fears and our vulnerabilities is what's always used against people, their vulnerabilities and their fears. And then you get people to fall in line because you'll go, okay, but if you listen to me, if you do what I tell you, you won't have to worry about your being vulnerable. You don't have to worry about those fears because I'm going to make it go away. I'm going to protect you. You stand behind me and I will protect you. In the meantime, while you're thinking, oh, okay, somehow they're skilled at going ahead and turning the back in your knife and doing stuff. And they're doing all the stuff to you. And then you're going, who did that? Well, same people that you decide to hide behind. Doesn't work. Gotta wake up. Gotta wake up.
Yeah. And it also prevents you from taking steps yourself. One example, I started using the public transport here without a face diaper. There it is still mandatory. And but so far the bus drivers never cared to say anything. So I just walked in. I said, and then I observe the people in the bus, and many of them, they look at me as if I'm a moon calf or something.
Right. Like you've got two heads. Yeah.
And yeah, and you can tell that some people start, from
They
their
feel a
body
little
language.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
others, you can tell, I wish I could do that as well. And
Yes.
there was
Yes.
one young lady, she was sitting there, but she had still hanging it here. Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then when she saw me, I looked back at her, and then she had the entire thing off.
I love it. I love when I see that because that's true. I've seen that. I've had people say that to me. God, I'm so glad. It's like you have the courage to do that. And it's like the courage to do what? You know, um, what it is they don't want to rock the boat. That's what it is. They're scared of rocking the boat. And so yeah, that's why they do that. And I was on a radio show the other day too, this interview, and one of the questions was, since I do things the way I do, yes, and I don't obey the rules, she says, well, these days, they shame you, there's mass shaming. I go, let me just stop you right there. First of all, let me just say I can't be shamed. I'm like, shamed of what? How are you gonna mass shaming me? What? That is just absolute nonsense. This is absolute nonsense. You cannot shame me in any of it. There's no reason for me to feel ashamed. There's none. This is what I'm doing because I understand this. I understand the science of this, and no, I'm doing what I'm doing. That's it. So yeah, the idea of people, but then I don't want to be shamed. You need to step back and think about that. And then what? So somebody says something to you. Now, do you melt? Like in The Wizard of Oz. I mean, the witch would pour water and she melt. Okay, do you melt? No, you do not melt. This is the whole thing. Those are words. Somebody who's feeling an opportunity to exert their power and feel important says something to you. So what? They're completely irrelevant in my world. But Judith, I tell you, one of the things why people didn't want to be shamed is because, particularly here in the US, that mantra that they came up with, don't do it for yourself, do it for others. Don't do it for yourself, do it for others. Protect others. And it's like playing on people's guilt. It's like, oh, okay, well, I want to protect others. I want to do it for yourself. I'm like, nowhere in there is self-responsibility. We emphasize, once again, it's an encouragement to not take responsibility, but then wait for others to protect you. Wait for others to do the right thing so that you be okay. Self-responsibility. So they really have taken that completely out of the equation and said, don't do it for yourself, do it for others. So when people are doing whatever they're doing, they're like, well, yeah, I'm just doing this for others. And then others are doing it for you. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And, okay, I won't say what I normally would say about that do it for others thing, because then, okay, I'm not going to say that here, but
too bad. I would have loved to hear
it. And you know what? Okay, so what I will say, if others don't give a damn about themselves, then why should I? If you know that you got these problems and you are 300-400 pounds and you are eating a whole bunch of low frequency foods and you recognize that, why then am I now supposed to stop and do for you when it's clear that you do not care anything about yourself? How is me doing that going to improve your condition right now? And that is the truth. That's an absolute fact. And that we do not hear emphasis about. Globally, we just haven't really heard that big emphasis, about people and their lifestyle and their diets and all of that. I'm sorry, if you're buying McDonald's and Coke and donuts, or you have severe autoimmune issues, I think then certainly, yeah, you need to protect yourself. And that to me would mean I cannot rely on others to protect me. I must do the things that I need to do to ensure my health and my safety. Bottom line of it, I will not rely on others in any capacity to do that.
Yeah, but that is the general attitude that comes along with collectivism. That the greater, the great majority and the greater good, and you have the individual is nothing, and
Right,
only
exactly. It's just one mind. It's just a Borg mind, and you just hook up to that Borg one mind system and operate that way. Well, I didn't come in here like that. That's not how I came in. That was not my agreement to come in and hook up to a Borg thinking. So yeah, that's not an option. I will not be assimilated.
but that is wanted. I can
That is
tell.
wanted. Yeah. Yeah, it is
Walk with
clearly
the hive
wanted.
mind.
Yeah, yeah, that hive mind is clearly
Mm.
what it is. Hook up, plug in, and we'll just run one program. And that program will everybody will connect with that that one program. And in the past, many times I've mentioned um that consciousness research project that came out of Princeton, where they're able to measure through brainwave activity globally. They're able to measure when, say, a catastrophe is going to happen, because the brainwaves spike for just across the board for human beings, because we're picking up things that are coming. And to me, that was very interesting years ago when it's called global consciousness research project. And that many years ago, that I found that very fascinating, because if you can detect globally all our brain waves are up at that same level, something is coming, you're picking it up, then what else can be interjected so that collectively we are operating in certain behaviors or in certain mindset thinking, and we're talking about tapping into the noosphere, which is, what is that? It's above the atmosphere. It's in between there, but that's where the minds are known to connect, gather thoughts. That's our point there, where we kind of all are on that wavelength. So I haven't really seen research on that, but I suspect, yes, if you can do one and if you can pick it up there, then what is to say in terms of sending out the right radio wave, the right frequencies, because it's like radio waves, sending out the right frequency of thought or interjections to people on a collective level. And of course, and it's been done on smaller scales for riots, for regulating people's minds, all of that. It's all about the brainwave, and they're able to incite emotional upheaval and stir. And if somebody that I connected with recently, who was in the military, also was confirming that. And there was an incident that occurred more recently, and I was told that that was a stirring of people's emotions, got them all riled up. They can, this stuff is tested all the time. Sound wave technology has been around for a while, and being able to give people different illnesses. That was one of the things that Chavez, the Venezuela president, I remember when he came out and he was really accusing the US based of I think, I don't remember who the other presidents were in other countries who had suddenly died of cancer, but that was what he was talking about, was the frequency of these different ill diseases, to be able to use the frequency to allow people to have it. And that was his sense, is what happened with him.
That makes total sense, because you can also use the same technology to reverse it.
Exactly. It's all frequency. It's all frequencies. And that's what, at least down here in our planet, we operate in the Hertz field, or radio wave field at the bottom of the spectrum. So we are operating by these certain kinds of waves, until we, maybe as an individual, are operating beyond some of those frequencies, so you're less interceptable. And then that, Judy, then that takes us right back to the necessity of expansion in awareness and consciousness, so that we are literally operating at a different frequency, and our brain waves are operating basically in a way off the charts, not as interceptable. And then, I also was talking to a friend of mine yesterday too, and talking about politicians and some of this stuff. And I said, they talk about witchcraft, but this stuff is the same thing.
Yeah.
Frequencies, it's the same thing. The government is, doing witchcraft all day long. Spell casting all kinds of spells. So it's just a matter of how we are just choosing to look at much of this. It's all science. It's all simple science on our planet as well. And then there is a bigger science that we call it science, but it just goes way beyond anything. But in the end of the day, it has to do with the arrangements of patterns, of frequencies, of bandwidth, particularly here in our space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a nice example also here from Germany. Our interior minister, the government has been briefed. There could be riots in the winter.
Yeah.
Really,
Ooh,
really.
yeah, really.
He's briefing for that. Yeah. So, okay. So now she came out and said in a TV interview, everybody that is going to protest against energy costs of living, no electricity, what have you, the whole shebang. Yeah, these are all Nazis. They are all right-wingers. Nobody in his right mind. You can protest and stay at home.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let me know how that works. Wow.
So really, Nancy, you think that people not having enough to eat, having no running water, even cold water in their house, freezing in their houses. So you really think when they start to complain, they are right-wingers?
Yeah. He was like, well, that's the narrative we need to spin, so that the other people who believe that, they are the ones that really, she gets them riled up, as we saw what happened with this whole situation, this pandemic. You get them riled up, and they start taking care of the, meaning not in a good way, of the people who now are referred to as Nazis. That's what happens, and that's the division. That's how they get us to turn on each other. So they don't have to do it. They just throw it out there and then see what sticks. And then, the people run like an ant running to, a piece of bread. They all just zone in on.
Yeah, but now the prosecution is investigating her, and it's because somebody filed a very detailed complaint. And
nice.
Yeah, and he explains in the complaint that demonstrations are, we don't have a constitution. We have a what do you call that? Not common law, a general basic law or something like that. It's not in that sense a constitution. But anyhow, that law guarantees the German people to protest if they have troubles with the government. So he says now she is delegitimizing a whole bunch of people, although they didn't even have protested up to now. So now, we will see.
I mean, it's comical and sad at the same time. It's all comical. and sad at the same time because of the people. It's the people who believe in it that's what makes it really tough. You get enough people who can't see through the nonsense. Yeah, it's pretty wild, but yeah, it's it's everywhere right now. And um I think we get excited when we see a glimpse of something that comes up to show that, oh well, maybe this whole veil will get lifted and maybe more people are going to see. And we get these little scraps every now and then. It's like, oh, a little bit came off, but somehow they always seem to escape it. Somehow they always come out unscathed. You notice that?
Mm-hmm.
These guys that do like her, they like somehow they come out with no problem. Nobody goes to jail.
Yeah, yeah.
What is going on? Nobody has to get punished. But man, you do one little tiny thing, boy, and it's a completely different situation. But yeah,
Yeah, of course. They cuff you and drag you to the
drag
police.
you right on, and you don't pay your power bill. Oh, and there's hell to pay. But they cut your stuff off, and it's, oh, oops, and well, So it's really interesting because that's what we deal with. It's like, don't worry about what we do. Just do what you're told.
Yeah.
Just shut up and do what you're told.
Yeah, and so far it is working, but I guess now that weapon of right-wingers and Nazis that does no longer work. Yeah,
Yeah.
when even my mother, and my mother has no wish to go and protest, but even
Mm-hmm.
my mother said, when you're hungry and you're really miserable, that has nothing to do with being a right winger. Yeah, but people
No,
just have grievances.
yeah,
End of story. Mm.
that's the body's demands. And I understand that there's like going on in, I forgot what part of Mexico that we don't even hear about, that's been going on where they're out of water.
Mhm.
And so this person said, I really wouldn't be surprised if something breaks out. People start going off in the next few days because they've been without water for a week. So there's things happening in different parts of the planet. And I actually, when I was speaking with Moses on the show, and I mentioned a film that I saw, a documentary some years ago with Vandana Shiva in it called The Shape of Water. And they were really showing in India and in some of these places where it was already hard for them to get water because they had to go walk miles to just go get some water. But now they're fighting privatization of the water. I
Mm.
mean, how greedy do human beings get? The privatization of water. You already have to walk to go get it. Dangerous for a lot of people, generally the women. um and so so here we are with things that are going on in different parts of the world. And our media, I don't know how the media is there, but here in the US, the media certainly is at the top of filtering what should be the main focus and attraction, what we should be thinking about. And it works very well. And in the meantime, other things are going on that we don't want to tell them about. We don't want to put that out there. But here's going to be the narrative for the week or for the next month. This is what you're going to focus on, people. Like school. This is what we're going to be focused on for this month. And then yeah, really. And
Yeah,
then
exactly.
change it in October or something. Okay, well, let's spin this now. And then we
Mm.
just go like little robots to that
Mhm.
thing, and that's it. Then we'll fight with each other over that thing. Or like a little child, you know how kids are, they're crying, and then you show them this shiny red ball, and then they're okay. Now they're going to the shiny red ball. This is how people are. This is exactly how people are. Oh, a shiny red ball. Let me go to that. That's what they do. It's very easy to pull the strings with our with these different societies. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. And also what they leave out, what they refuse to report.
Yeah,
So,
no.
for instance, in your country with the Hunter Biden laptop and so on and so on, you know, if you have a little idea what is on that laptop, I have some photos that are really
Oh,
so.
wow, really?
Mhm. You
Wow.
want me to send it to you?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. I will.
That's
Uh,
so crazy, though. Yeah.
yeah,
It may hard to hear anything about, that now. Keep
yeah.
it out the media. Keep it, and well, who owns the media? That's always the question.
Mm,
And what do they have on folks? Because I really think that's part of it. You know, yeah, I think some of these bigger whatever they save things about you and then when I need you to do what I need you to do, okay, remember I have this blackmail. And so I think there's a lot of that goes on. And they probably go, okay, well, I'll do what you want, just,
mm,
just don't do this, don't put this out, or don't whatever, my family. So it's I think that's a lot of what happens.
yeah, exactly. So, Sonia, I know that your time is very limited today, but I thank you so
Yeah.
much for coming anyway.
Oh,
And
always a pleasure, always a pleasure.
yeah, sometimes, when I notice that you are extremely busy, um, but that was a couple of months ago. I contacted you, the
Hmm.
regular email address that I always use. I didn't hear back. Then I went to your page,
Hmm.
and there is this official uh, thing where you can request interviews on anything that has to do with media. And
Right.
even there, I didn't get a
You didn't
response.
get a response.
So
I was like, I like overwhelmed because I try to put a star next to it because, I still don't have a new assistant after my assistant left. I'm, still I'm dealing with it. So yeah, keeping track of the many things that I have, and then to train an assistant, sometimes that seems like more work to me, even though I need to have a new assistant. So yeah, if I don't respond, it's because I somehow have either seen it and go, okay, let me get back to that. And then I totally don't remember to get back to it. So yeah, that's what happens.
yeah, but
Yeah.
one way or another, we always make it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
So, okay, that was it, guys. Night flight for today with the wonderful Sonia Barrett, and we see you all next time. Bye
All
bye.
right. Thanks so much. Take care, everybody. Bye.